The people have told you that DNFing books is bad and wrong, and I'm here to tell you that they lied. They lied, friend. Just stop reading the book. And if you stop reading it because you didn't like it, don't mean that in a couple of years you're not gonna love it. Hi friends, welcome back to Shelby and the Book Club. I'm Shelby Monet, and in today's video we are going to talk about some books that I've DNF'd but also would like to revisit this year. DNFing a book means that you did not finish it, right? And not finishing a book is not this world-ending thing that the internet makes it seem like it is, okay? I think sometimes you just aren't the version of yourself that is prepared for this book. I think, or sometimes you just didn't like it, right? But that isn't this like world-ending, reflection of the author is terrible and bad, or I'm dumb because I didn't finish the book, or whatever the case may be. It is fine. So we're gonna go through this list. We're gonna talk about some reasons that maybe I DNF'd it. I think there are a few on here that I didn't even start yet, but most of these were like DNFs, and I want to get to them this year. So if you would like to hear it, here it go. Before we get started, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. You know I love talking to y'all. Y'all are my book besties. And tell me in the comments if you have read any of these books, or tell me some books that you've DNF'd that maybe you want to revisit now that you maybe have some more time or different perspective on life, or whatever the case may be. All right, here we go. Y'all might hear a squeaky toy. Y'all might. I'm just warning y'all now. So these are in no particular order, but I do want to start with the book that I haven't finished. I mean, I didn't start it at all. I did not DNF this. I didn't start it, but I do want to get to it this year is what I'm trying to say. But y'all got me flustered. This is A Spell of Good Things. I do not want to butcher this author's name. So I got this book because the cover is beautiful, but also because I either read the author's first book or had the intention to and just wanted to support the author. There was a time in my reading where I was obsessed with Nigerian literature and read a bunch. They are just amazing storytellers, which is why I think their men lie so much. If you know, you know. So this one is, I want to say it's a romance. So it says, Ayobami Adebayo, the celebrated author of Stay With Me, unveils a dazzling story of modern Nigeria and two families caught in the riptides of wealth, power, romantic obsession, and political corruption. I think it's going to be really good, and it is definitely something that I want to read very, very soon. Next, we are going to do one of the books that I DNF'd most recently, which is The Reformatory by Tanana Reeve. I DNF'd this solely because it was messing with my emotions and it was scaring me. Like, I am so emotionally invested in this family, in this story, but in also the things that have happened at these reformatory schools are atrocious. Atrocious. Do you hear me? Terrible and bad. I just saw something in the news about, I think, a jail in Mississippi and how they uncovered all of these unmarked graves behind the jail. I said they need to do that for some of these reformatory schools, because this is based on a place that was real, right? I think closed down now, but it was real. So the main character gets in trouble, and he gets sent to the Gracetown School for Boys for kicking the son of the largest landowner in town in defense of his older sister. So begins Robbie's journey further into the terrors of the Jim Crow South and the very real horror of the school they call the Reformatory. Amazing writing. I also, something that I love about Tanana Reeve is her consistency with the town that she's writing in. So Gracetown is in some of her other works, and I like that consistency across the line throughout her works. I want to finish it because I've heard great things and people seem to love it, it just was freaking me out. I think if you read the Nickel Boys by, why can't I think his name right now? You guys know who the Nickel Boys is by. If you read the Nickel Boys, this is similar to the Nickel Boys in its subject matter. Next, we have Moon and the Mars. Isn't this cover beautiful? Are you gonna focus? So this is a historical novel by Kia Corthron. I started it when it first came out, which was maybe early last year. Maybe 2021. So dang. Okay. It's a historical fiction. So it says a historical novel of the American Civil War period, set mostly in New York's Five Points neighborhood. Moon and the Mars recounts the coming of age of young Theo Brooke, a half-black, half-Irish girl who zigzags between her black and Irish family's tenements and her auntie's home up in the black community of Seneca Village. Theo encounters formerly enslaved Southerners fleeing bondage and Europeans fleeing destitution, migrants seeking fortune in the West, and newsboys shouting the world home. As American attitudes shift on slavery, on race, on women, on class, on colonialism, and the indignity, I'm not saying that correctly, our nation's growing pains are mirrored in the curious, yearning, buoyant eyes of young Theo. I started it, I was liking it, something else caught my attention. That's usually what happens for me. Some of these books, though, I will say, I started them in like a library. I mean, not a library. Gosh darn it. I started them in the airport or when I was traveling or something like that, which is always a bad idea for me. I never end up finishing anything, but this has been sitting on my, it's been whispering to me off my bookshelf like, psst, 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 come get me. Next, we have The Secret Diaries of Charles Ignatius Sancho by Patterson Joseph. Again, another historical fiction right up my alley. This one is supposed to be a little funny. If I remember correctly, some people were saying that like it had some wit to it. But it says it's 1746 and Georgian London is not a safe place for a young black man. Charles Ignatius Sancho must dodge slave catchers and worse, and his main ally, a kindly duke who taught him to write, is dying. Sancho is desperate and utterly alone. So how does the same Charles Ignatius Sancho meet the king, write and play highly acclaimed music, find his beloved Anne, become the first black person to vote in Britain, and lead the fight to end slavery? Through every moment of this rich, exuberant tale, Sancho forges ahead to see how much he can achieve in one short life. I had little right to live, born on a slave ship where my parents both died, but I survived, and indeed, you might say I did more. Sounds like it is going to be good. This one I didn't finish because I was supposed to be buddy reading it with Jess, my book bestie, and that never happened. And I don't even know if she read it or not, or what happened. We moved on to other books, but maybe we have something coming where we could possibly be reading books together and talking about it on a platform. Anyway, next up, Miss Octavia Butler, Parable of the Sower. You know that one of my favorite books is Kindred, right? I loved that book, Wish and Tell made me want to read through more of her work. I started this, it freaked me out, as it does most people, and I just never got back to it. But seeing as it takes place this year, June 20th, 2024, I think I should be reading it. And also, we need to do like a book bestie cookout situation on June 20th to celebrate Miss Octavia E. Butler. I think that's something that we should do. And let's not forget that the day before is Juneteenth. There's something to say. There's something to say about things hitting the fan the day after Juneteenth. And then last but certainly not least is a very big book that everyone has read but me. And I was enjoying it, and then I look and see how many more pages I have left to read, and I get a little discouraged, but I've heard very great things about this book. And the parts that because I've tried physically reading this, I tried listening to the audiobook as well. The parts that I already know stick, right? So I need to finish this book, and that is The Love Songs of W.E.B. Dubois. We them boys. I'm such a clown. This is a historical fiction that follows the lineage of a family. So it says, since childhood, Ailey Pearl Garfield has understood Du Bois's words all too well. Bearing the names of two formidable Black Americans, the revered choreographer Alvin Ailey and her great-grandmother Pearl, the descendant of enslaved Africans and tenant farmers, Ailey carries Du Bois' problem on her shoulders. Ailey is reared in the North but spends summers in the small Georgia town of Chickasetta, where her mother's family has lived since their ancestors arrived from Africa in bondage. Since she was a child, Ailey has fought a battle for belonging that is made even more difficult by a hovering trauma and the whispers of women. Her mother, Belle, her sister Lydia, and the maternal line reaching back 2 centuries, who urge Ailey to succeed in their stead. To come to terms with her own identity, Ailey embarks on a journey through her family's past, uncovering the shocking tales of generations of ancestors, indigenous, Black, and white, in the Deep South. Along the way, Ailey must learn to embrace her full heritage, a legacy of oppression and resistance, bondage and independence, cruelty and resilience. That is the story and the song of America itself. I just know this book is going to be really, really good. I just see all these pages. It's almost 800 pages, all these pages, and I'd be like, girl, do I like reading that much? I do. So these are just some books that I want to get to this year. Let me know in the comments if there are anything or any books that you've DNF'd that you think you might be ready to revisit this year. Without further ado, if no one has told you today, I love you. You are kind. You are smart. You are important. If to no one else, to me. Bye, friends.